guilty.
Finally, an Oriental short-haired cat named Teddy from New Jersey has won the heart of the internet because of his eye-catching long limbs. Teddy's legs give him a leg up when it comes to playtime. Those feathers don't stand a chance.
With intern Louie, that's this week's edition of Lola's Lowdown.
I love
That
this dog.
is so funny.
Why? What's the attraction?
I don't know.
And he looks guilty. Back, see if you can get away
Look
with
at
it.
that face.
Wanted. That's our time for now. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here on Monday. News 3 at 5 starts right after this.
Earthquake rocks Anchorage today. We'll have the very latest on the damage there.
2 Middleton students are accused of sexually assaulting another student. We'll have the very latest.
And Madison Water Utility weighing in after UW Health says a hot water system may be to blame for 5 patients being diagnosed with a severe type of pneumonia.
This is News 3.
Thanks for staying with News 3. A cloudy and cool end of your work week, but the wintry weather could be on its way.
Let's get right to Dave Caulfield in the Weather Center. Dave?
Well, Susan and Eric, we do have alert days in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday for the threat of some rain, snow, sleet, and freezing rain. All that on the table as we head into this weekend. And here is the kind of culprit system as it's still forming over spots to the south and west of us. That will continue to move to the north and east over the next 12 hours and start to impact southern Wisconsin with some potentially messy weather by the time we get to tomorrow morning. A live look in Madison. We still do have some fog with us on the WISC-TV Skycam. Visibilities have been down all day, and that means temperatures have been kept down all day pretty much everywhere across the area. And we are at 31 in Madison and in Watertown, only at 34 in Janesville and 34 in Boscobel as well. Temperatures and winds over the next 12 hours, we will be falling through the 30s and bottom out right around 30 degrees tomorrow, and temperatures are going to be very important as we start off our Saturday because we could be dealing with some freezing rain and ice to start the day. We'll go over that possibility, plus talk about what to expect for the entire weekend in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dave, thank you. A 7.0 magnitude earthquake rocked the Anchorage, Alaska area earlier today. The U.S. Geological Survey says that quake Friday morning was centered around about 7 miles north of Alaska's largest city. Officials say there have been no reports of any deaths. More than 100 schools canceled classes after that quake sent terrified students diving for cover. Emergency crews spread out looking for damage. Anchorage officials say transportation is disrupted, but overall, they say the city was ready.
The fact that we went through something this significant with this minimal amount of damage says that we're a very well-prepared community.
The size and the extent of what we're seeing right now is something that will require resources from outside.
And President Trump tweeted that the federal government, quote, will spare no expense helping Alaska after the earthquake. And coming up tonight at 10, we'll hear from a local man who was near that site of the quake when it took place.
2 Middleton high school students are accused of sexually assaulting a classmate.
This alleged incident happened last week off school grounds. Our Keely Arthur joins us with the latest details on this case. Keely?
That's right. Authorities say the victim and the student knew one another but did not have a close relationship. Now, 18-year-old Mohammed Aldashak is facing charges of second-degree sexual assault of a child. An unnamed 16-year-old was also arrested. Authorities confirmed that the 14-year-old victim is a freshman at Middleton High School. She attended a Middleton basketball game the night of November 21st. After the game, she was picked up by one of the suspects and taken to a home in the town of Middleton, where the alleged assault happened. The alleged incident was reported on November 23rd. Middleton Cross Plains School District Superintendent George Mavrolis confirmed that Aldashak is no longer attending class at the high school, adding, quote, "Our focus is on caring for the victim and her family. As a district, we strongly encourage our students to come forward anytime they see, hear about, or are a victim of an assault." Now, given the sensitivity of the matter, the Dane County Sheriff's Department, who is handling the case, declined an on-camera interview. Aldashak will be back in court on Monday.
Keely Arthur reporting. Now, Keely, thank you.
Thank you, Keely. One person is recovering after being stabbed while trying to break up a fight near Warner Park early this morning. Madison police say the incident happened in the 2500 block of Calypso Road. When officers got there, they found a man with a stab wound to the chest. He was taken to the hospital to be treated, but is expected to survive. Officers say the person who stabbed the man ran away from the scene. The investigation is ongoing and police are working to identify the suspect. Anyone with information about this incident is asked to call the Madison Police Department.
Police are asking for the public's help for information regarding a Dodge County teenager who has been missing now for nearly a month. Beaver Dam police say 17-year-old Kirsten Duarte has been missing since November 1st. Police ask anyone who has been in touch with Kirsten to call police and let investigators know. According to the alert, she is described as white with brown hair, brown eyes, about 5 feet 1 inch tall, 125 pounds. Police say Kirsten has scars on both forearms. Anyone with information that may help is asked to call police.
UW Hospital says a hot water system may be to blame for 5 patients being diagnosed with a type of pneumonia, one who died this week.
To avoid the bacteria that causes Legionnaire's disease, it's important to keep an eye on plumbing at home as well. Our Madeline O'Neill in the news center with more. Maddie?
Eric and Susan, Legionnaire's disease is a potentially deadly type of pneumonia caused by bacteria spread through hot water mist, like in a shower. It's usually seen in people with low immune systems. According to Madison Water Utility, bacteria can build in your water system if it's sitting stagnant. That means particularly in rooms you may not often use, like a spare bathroom. So running water in that room to make sure it turns over is important.
We do a lot of work to make sure the water, when it gets to your home, is safe, it's disinfected, it's ready to go. But once it gets there, you know, all that plumbing inside your home really needs to be taken care of.
Madison Water Utility also recommends getting a plumber to flush out your hot water system if you have any concerns. According to health officials, the number of cases of Legionnaire's disease is spiking this year across the country. We'll have more on that tonight at 6.
All right, Madeline O'Neill in our news center. Maddie, thank you.
The UW-Madison chapter of Theta Chi fraternity has decided to end its participation as a registered student organization. According to the fraternity, the decision comes after the Wisconsin Division of Student Life conducted investigations over several months into various allegations, which resulted in numerous unsubstantiated findings against the fraternity. Fraternity officials say the chapter and its students have been subjected to a seemingly flawed and fundamentally unfair university judicial process. The university reacted to the separation, saying UW-Madison values all student organizations and holds them accountable to a code of conduct that requires them to operate safely and legally. The health and safety of our students and their guests is always our highest priority. Misconduct allegations are taken seriously and addressed through a fair process. The chapter says it will continue to be active in the community.
The year 2020 would have 3 elections within 3 months. That's under a proposal lawmakers will consider during a lame duck session next week.
We're learning more tonight about what's on their agenda when they return to the state capitol. And that is where our Rose Schmidt joins us live to explain. Rose?
Well, Republican leaders are proposing moving the date of that presidential primary from April to March. But today, a local clerk told me he does not think that's possible. Now, that plan would also limit early voting in Wisconsin, cutting it by about a week. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald has said moving the election date would help conservative Supreme Court Justice Dan Kelly keep his seat. But Dane County Clerk Scott McDonald says it would mean overlapping timelines in February, March, and April's elections for clerks' offices and cost an additional $7 million in taxpayer money. He also worries it would cause confusion among voters who would be getting multiple ballots in the mail at the same time.
It would be a chaos and Florida-like to add an election at that point. And so it's very frustrating, and the clerks across the state, Republican, Democratic alike, are dead set against this.
During the lame duck session next week, lawmakers will also vote on other bills that include 2 issues that dominated the campaign season: plans to guarantee coverage for pre-existing conditions and provide road funding. Now, Speaker Robin Vos and Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald released a joint statement today saying that this session will continue the work that they've done and that they won't let their work be erased by the executive branch. Meanwhile, Governor-elect Tony Evers has called this lame duck session a last-ditch attempt for Republican leaders to hold on to power.
Thank you, Rose. We got a little
concert going on.
A little concert going on behind you.
Sounds of the season.
That's right.
Rose Schmidt live at the state capitol. Thank you, Rose.
Rose, thanks. Marriott, the world's largest hotel operator, says hackers gained access to personal information of some 500 million guests. Company officials say guests' addresses, dates of birth, passport numbers were all exposed through its Starwood reservation system. Now, some customers' credit card numbers and expiration dates were also compromised. Marriott first was alerted back in September, but learned during the investigation unauthorized access had been going on since 2014. The breach affects Sheraton, Westin, Element, Aloft, W Hotels, along with St. Regis, Four Points, Le Méridien, and the Luxury Collection, along with Starwood branded timeshare properties. All of those were Starwood properties before Marriott acquired the company in 2016. No Marriott branded hotels were affected.
Guard yourself ahead of time. Freeze your credit. Don't depend on anybody else to do it for you, because nobody cares as much about your money as you do.
Marriott CEO Arne Sorensen apologized for the breach, saying, quote, "We fell short of what our guests deserve and what we expect of ourselves." Marriott is alerting customers through email and to set up a dedicated website for those with any questions.
The men and women who protect our communities are now giving back to those in need. The Fitchburg Police Department delivered items from its annual food drive to the Allied Drive Food Pantry today. The department holds a competitive food drive every year. Renee Reber from Allied Drive Food Pantry says the police department exceeded expectations.
This is going to last us for months and months, and we just hope that, you know, we're helping the people in the neighborhood and the community. So, and this will be amazing. This will last us a long time.
On top of today's delivery, Fitchburg PD also held a Stuff the Squad event in November and then donated nearly 20 carts of food to the pantry.
Madison firefighters went the extra mile earlier this month when a North Madison man who was cleaning his gutters had a medical emergency. The fire department said the man was on his roof when crews arrived and he was taken to the hospital. 4 firefighters stayed at the man's home to finish cleaning the gutters and blowing leaves off the roof. That is truly public service. Right? More to come on News 3 at 5. Up next, we'll tell you why the president's former lawyer says he lied to Congress.
The president has signed a new trade deal with Mexico and Canada. We'll have the very latest.
And also today on Wall Street, the Dow up almost 200 points to close the week. The NASDAQ climbs 57.5. The S&P added 22. We'll be right back.
We're learning more about what President Trump knew about his former personal lawyer's contacts with Russian officials.
President Trump was warned by the Justice Department before his former personal attorney Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to lying to Congress. The plea was part of a deal with special counsel Robert Mueller in the Russia investigation. Cohen had initially testified to Congress that discussions for a Trump Tower real estate project in Moscow ended in January of 2016. Well, now he says those discussions continued through June of 2017. He also told the court he lied, quote, out of loyalty and to be consistent with the president's political messaging. The president lashed out again on Twitter today, calling the investigation a witch hunt. Yet so far, 5 people connected to the Trump campaign have pleaded guilty in the special counsel's Russia probe.
Meanwhile, President Trump signed a new trade agreement that he pushed for with Mexico and Canada at the G20 summit. The new agreement replaces NAFTA. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says more work needs to be done to remove economic obstacles. Trudeau says that more work needs to be done, and he will continue talking to the president.
Make no mistake, we will stand up for our workers and fight for their families and their communities. And Donald, it's all the more reason why we need to keep working to remove the tariffs on steel and aluminum between our countries.
The new USMCA trade agreement signed this morning still needs to be ratified by lawmakers in all 3 countries.
Newly released video shows a Colorado man convicted of killing his family confessing to the murder of his pregnant wife. Body camera footage shows police searching Christopher Watts' home after his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters disappeared. Watts told investigators he was worried, but in a video confession days later, Watts told his father he murdered his wife Shanann in a fit of rage, claiming she killed their children.
She took both from the dead. I freaked out to see me.
Prosecutors say Watts killed his family because of an affair he was having with a coworker. Court documents say the day Watts killed his family, he called his daughter's school to say they would no longer be attending. And he also contacted a real estate agent about selling his home. He will spend the rest of his life in prison.
More rain is on the way in parts of California, and that could mean big trouble for people living in areas recently scorched by wildfires. The rain has let up in California temporarily, giving crews just enough time to start cleaning up the mud before this next storm rolls in. Mud and debris race down scorched hillsides, overrunning roads. Thousands near the deadly campfire burn area who were forced from their homes were told to evacuate again. The relentless rain caused flash floods, trapping drivers, and prompted tricky rescues in Butte County.
Something hit this back door right here, it slammed open, and a bunch of mud started rushing in. I ran out, I opened our main garage here, and then just a wall of water just came rushing through. And
The forecast calls for more wet weather this weekend. Officials say the cleanup from the fires could take weeks, maybe even months.
Well, our weather staff could be a little busier over the weekend. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield filling us in with the latest on the backyard patio. Dave?
Well, Eric and Susan, we do have alert days in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday. A mixed bag of precipitation is on the way to southern Wisconsin. So we're watching Saturday and Sunday morning specifically as those changeover times. Potentially, we're talking about rain mixed with some freezing rain, even some glazing on roadways early Saturday. That's possible. Then everything for most of us changing to all rain, but that rain snow line will continue to move to the north, so spots north of Dane County could pick up a little bit of snow on Saturday. Then the rain will change back to snow on Sunday, and some light snow accumulations are possible. The culprit system is still well to the south and west, but moving quickly to the north and east, and could provide some tricky travel troubles, especially on Saturday and Sunday morning. A winter weather advisory in effect for Juneau and Adams County and spots closer to La Crosse and Eau Claire. Winter storm warnings across northern Iowa and southern Minnesota over this weekend. Downtown Madison looking quiet, still maybe a little bit of fog out there on the Edgewater Skycam, and temperatures really have stayed right around the freezing mark today. Normal is 36, so coming in a little bit below where we should be, but these high temperatures are actually going to be be very important over the next couple of days, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. 32 the high in Madison, 36 in Janesville, and 34 in Mineral Point and Lone Rock. Those temperatures are really close to that freezing mark, and because our high temperatures over the last couple of days have actually underperformed what models have suggested, meaning they're a little bit colder than we expected, that could come into play when that precipitation starts tomorrow morning, making things a little bit icy to start. Hopefully not, but that is a possibility. So here's what's changed. The start of the precipitation is slightly later now compared to previous model runs, and that's good because that usually allows temperatures to warm up a little bit. But those Madison temperatures and a lot of temperatures across southern Wisconsin have been colder than forecast. So those kind of offset. It's a bit of a wash there. There is a little bit more agreement from the models, which is good news, but we could be talking about a little bit of freezing rain and ice potential for the start of Saturday. As this system moves in kind of on the warm side of things, we'll get the heavy rain threat and some very gusty winds at times on Saturday. Then things change back over to snow for Sunday as cold air comes back in and could provide us with some minor snow totals by the time we end Sunday. For tonight, mostly cloudy, staying dry for now. Temperatures near 30, but tomorrow, that rain and freezing rain threat comes with us for the start of Saturday. So let's take a look at that on Future Track, a little bit of a closer look to home. You could see a bit of a messy situation is possible right around Saturday at, we'll call it 8 or 9 in the morning for spots across southern Wisconsin. That line of snow and rain moving farther north. I think we're just dealing with rain later on Saturday, but then Sunday we see that second changeover to all snow, and potentially we're looking at less than an inch for much of southern Wisconsin, but north of Dane County we could get about 1 to 3 inches of snow by the time everything is said and done. So your 7 to 10 day forecast after the alert days, we really do quiet down, which we'll need, and temperatures are staying in the 20s for much of next week. Now let's take a look at your first alert traffic update. Todd Drive in the Beltline, we are seeing some slow go in both directions. Across Dane County, no major accidents or incidents to report, but we are seeing those brake lights aplenty on the Beltline, as you might expect. Stoughton Road and the interstate not looking too bad, but Todd Drive through Fish Hatch and also to John Nolan is looking quite slow. Verona Road to John Nolan eastbound, that's 14 minutes, an average speed of around 20 miles per hour. And some other routes in and around Madison looking pretty good. The Beltline to Janesville, no major problems there. It's about a 30-minute journey. And that is your first alert traffic update.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Good luck this weekend, Dave.
Oh, thanks.
Ahead on News 3 at 5, a new drug is changing the way doctors treat some types of cancer. We'll tell you how the treatment saved one little girl's life.
It's a pretty cool story.
The FDA just approved a new cancer drug that is already showing promise.
It works entirely differently than chemotherapy, and doctors believe it could be transformative in the field of precision medicine. Kenneth Craig has the story of one little girl and her family who saw dramatic results.
Looking at Rihanna Plaza today, you would never know that she was born with a tumor the size of her newborn head.
I just cried, and I could not believe it. I knew something was wrong and it was bad, but why did it have to be rare? Why did it have to be my daughter?
Rihanna started intensive chemotherapy right away, but after several months, the massive cancerous tumor in her arm was not shrinking. The family connected with doctors at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, testing a new drug called Victracvi. It targets a specific gene mutation in Rihanna's tumor. Rather than going after tumors based on where they originate, Dr. Neil Shukla says this treatment targets cancers with a certain gene mutation.
Because we're really trying to move away from the concept of treating patients based on just where the cancer arises, and really actually treating them based on what makes the cancer tick.
Rihanna received the drug twice a day at home, and her parents saw immediate results.
You're talking about a matter of just a few days, and you
Monday
could
to
tell the
Wednesday.
difference.
That was it. And I called the doctor and I called my husband, and I was like, oh, this thing is shrinking. Like, oh my God.
Shocking. This thing is working. Whatever it is, it's working.
She also had no side effects, and within months, the tumor became small enough for doctors to perform surgery without compromising the function of her arm.
Yep, this is the arm. Yes.
Today, all that's left is this scar.
So this is it right here.
It's been 9 months since Rihanna's last treatment. Her parents are still blown away she's cancer-free.
We were like, where does this ever happen? It's a miracle. Go!
And the almost 2-year-old shows no signs of slowing down. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
And the drug has been effective in treating 11 other cancers, including lung cancer and colon cancer.
And stay with us. We'll have one more check of your forecast in just a moment.
Wintry weekend on the way.
Yeah, it could be messy at times, especially during the morning hours of Saturday and Sunday. Doppler track showing our system still well off to the south and west. And tonight actually should be pretty calm, mostly cloudy with temperatures near 30. But tomorrow, that becomes a little bit of a different story. Rain, maybe mixed with some freezing rain and sleet and snow for some of us to start off Saturday. Then most of us should warm up enough where we just get garden variety rain. Could be heavy at times and windy as well. Maybe even a thunderstorm or two. Then some snow comes our way on Sunday morning.
Dave, thank you. We'll be back in 30 minutes for News 3 at 6. The CBS Evening News is next.